her sense of style and where she took her influences from. She crafted this whole image that was very purposeful and striking, and she just created this massive impression for this tiny little woman. She's like 5'3", but her presence was huge. So I loved learning about that, and I can't believe I didn't know more before, because you always see images of her, like the flowers in the hair, her eyebrows, but you don't know her whole story. And so this whole exhibit has given me the opportunity to really dive in to find out more about the person and why she chose what she wore.
Now, as far as the outfits, so you have 5 different ones that are at the exhibit. Maybe run through each one of them, and a little bit about, what your process was to create them.
Okay, so I'll use some visuals because that might help rather than just going, ah. So we started with the image on our publicity. So like when we created the 5 dresses, when we chose, we were like, well, what 5 dresses? And we're like, well, we have to do this one. There you go. Because that's in all our publicity. It's what you want. It's just such a striking image. And that one, we ended up having to create the fabric for the skirt. I started out trying to shop as much as I could, and nothing exists that was exactly like what she wore. So I found images of pictures on that skirt. It has like a little peach motif, and it doesn't exist. So I ended up digitally manipulating it to create something that I could send off to a printer. And then they printed out the fabric. We embroidered on the skirt band. The College of Dupage gives me fabulous tools, one of which is an awesome embroidery program that lets me take pictures, basically, to say it simply, take pictures and turn it into stitches that I then send to my embroidery machine. And then it takes, oh, good Lord, like the skirt band alone on that one dress was probably a 40 hours of stitch out. And that happened during COVID. So that skirt band was in my kitchen apartment sink, my counter, just stitching out for 40 hours. And it gave me a lot more respect for the women and the artisans who created these originally, because they did it all by hand and they did it so beautifully. And me 100 years later trying to replicate it on the machine it was more challenging than I thought it would be.
It wasn't just, I'm going to go to the fabric store, put these things together, and here you go. I mean, you had to do, we just heard as far as like 40 hours, so when people go and check out the exhibit, just to see all the details that it took to put this thing to get that one outfit together.
Yeah, just that one.
That's just that one. All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay, so this one, there we go. Okay. So this one was chosen because Justin Whitty, the curator, and Diana Martinez, the director of the MAC, they saw this exhibit and they said this one was really striking in the color, and it's such a unique garment. It's a ribbon dress, and it has cross stitch, like the embroidery is very different style than the rest of them. It's one of my favorite just because of the striking colors of it, and it's such a beautiful piece. But if you go in and look at the little tiny cross stitches, I did cross stitch as a kid, but nothing that had this much hand cross stitch. It's a stunning garment. I wish I'd had her confidence to wear something like that today because of the amount of color and texture is just fantastic. I love it.
Let's go to the next one.
All right. This one, there we go.
There you go.
So that I started trying to see if I can buy that blouse fabric, because how easy that would be if I could just buy it. It doesn't exist. So I did manage to find a picture of one of the little petals on that blouse and then replicate it until I got enough to send it off to a printer. So you can, if you look really close at the final design, you can see where the repeat happens. You'd have to look pretty close. And luckily the audience isn't, right next to it. They're like 2 feet away. But that went off to the fabric, the same place that we sent the black skirt, and it comes back and it's this beautiful drapey fabric. But we chose that one because it's so unique in that it looks much more almost Victorian, Edwardian. So it feels very different than her other looks. But if you're in our timeline, you can see her in this style. You might not see this exact blouse, but you'll see the style of blouse in several pictures, and it paired with her wonderful Mexican skirts, it's a lovely style.
Have you been in the exhibit and seen other people looking at your outfits that you created?
Yes. um, we had a press day late May, and I actually got to stand by my dresses and like answer questions, but also the offices for the MAC overlook the exhibit. So when I go to my office or go to the mailroom, I will peek over, and it is I like seeing everybody check out everything, but it is really delightful when they're actually like taking selfies in front of the dresses or pointing out a detail. And so it's gratifying that they are enjoying it as much as I did.